Hello, our topic is understanding orbs and how aspects change with greater magnification. The magnification that I'm referring to is as we look at higher and higher harmonic charts. So this is actually a continuation in a four-part series of videos on what harmonic charts and how we interpret them. And this video really picks up with what I was talking about in part two. This is going to give us some more practice looking at how an aspect looks in the context of different harmonics and how the orbs change. This takes some practice and some different examples to get really comfortable with. So I'm going to show some more examples and a new image to drive home this idea of how a given aspect looks in different harmonics. And I think this video is going to really help bring this home and make it clear. What I'm going to do is I'm going to look at a trine aspect that occurs in the natal chart and see what it looks like in different harmonics. Kind of track it as it changes in different harmonics. And then I will do another aspect, a 40th harmonic. Let's look at this trine aspect. This is the chart of Buddy Holly, same chart we were looking at before. This is his natal chart, and he has a very strong moon trine Mercury aspect. By strong we mean the orb is small. Mercury is 11 Libra 47. Moon is 11 Gemini 59. It's only a 12-minute orb. Okay, so we have a very close moon trine Mercury aspect. What does it look like in the fifth harmonic chart? What will it look like? Okay, I've got these harmonic charts already calculated. I'll click on it. And we just look for moon and Mercury. Here's moon, here's Mercury. There's still trine. Okay. So the trine in the natal chart still looks like a trine in the 15th harmonic, in the 5th harmonic chart. Why is that? I've talked about it, but I want to give you a new visual image for this. Here's my new visual image. Right here. You can think of it this way. Think of the 5th harmonic as being a beat, 5 beats in the circle. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's a good way to think of it because that's literally what it is. If the sun is here and the moon is here, they're 1/5 of a circle. Or if the moon was here, it would be 2/5 of a circle. This would be 1/5 going the other way, 2/5 going the other way. They're on that beat. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then what if another planet, suppose Jupiter, is over here? However, we don't even care how many degrees that is, but it's 1/15 of a circle. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. So there's 15 of these, 15 points going around. So if, say, Sun is here and Jupiter is here, it's on a 15 beat, and that's 3 beats for each of these 5. So we're getting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and it's literally a waltz. So if 2 planets are 1/15 of a circle, happens to be 18 degrees, but don't let these numbers bother you. It doesn't matter. You don't have to memorize the numbers or anything. What you want to get is the concept, is that if the angular distance is 1/15 of a circle, that means it's on a beat of 15 beats. And that's literally a waltz from the point of view of 5. From the point of view of 5, that is bum 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 bum, with 5 of those 3-beat rhythms making up the entire circle. And what is the meaning, the astrological meaning, if one planet is here and one is here? A combination of 5 and 3. Because it's literally 5 times 3. It's 5, which is playfulness, and it's smooth and harmonious. Now, my question is, why, getting back to my question, is why does the trine still look like a trine in the 5th harmonic chart? Well, here's a trine starting from the same point. I'm using this as my starting point. 0 Capricorn, 0 Taurus, 0 Virgo. So how does the trine look from the point of view of 5? where does it land? It lands right on one of the 15 beats. It lands right on one of them. So it lands on 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5/15 is 1/3. It's landing right on the 15 beat. So from the point of view of the fifth harmonic, it's on one of these 15 beats. It's landing right on it. It's missing most of them. It doesn't land, doesn't land, doesn't land, doesn't, and then boink, hits here, hits here. So you might think of it as kind of a weak 15 because it doesn't hit all of the beats there, but it lands right on one of them. Lands right on the same beat. So the trine, from the point of view of a fifth harmonic, is also the same as 15, landing right on one of those beats. So if you imagine these cosmic drummers, and one drummer is playing 5 beats, and they all start at the same moment, and another one's playing 15 beats. This one in light blue playing 15 beats plays 3 beats, hits the drum 3 times for every time this one hits it. And this drummer who's playing 3 beats lands at the same exact instant as the one who's doing 15 beats. So from the point of view of the 5, it's landing right on that 15. So it looks like a trine, and that's why it appears as a trine in the 15th harmonic. The nice thing is you don't have to memorize this, you don't have to do any arithmetic, you don't have to worry about it, just trust your harmonic chart, it's done it for you. So it's already found out that this moon trine Mercury in the natal chart still looks like a trine to the 5th harmonic. So again, you don't have to work out the numbers, you don't have to worry about it, but if you're wondering, you know, even after watching the 2 videos and thinking about it, like, it still seems weird to me that this trine is still trine. Like, why is it still? It should change. We're in a different vibration. That's why. The reason it's still trine is because it's still landing on that beat, on that 15 beat. And really, in a way, maybe it isn't any weaker than a 15th, because it's only 2 planets. If you have sun here and moon here, it's on the first of the 15 beats. Here it's on the 5th. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5th of the 15 beats. Anyway, it's landing right on the beat. Okay. So that's to give you an intuition, you know, to make it feel natural that, okay, fine. We're going to see, and again, this beautiful feature of the Sirius 2.0 software, that you can see if the aspect reduces down to a lower harmonic. Because if it does, it means that the moon trine Mercury is not restricted to only 5 vibration, because it's a 1/3 aspect. It's going to appear in other places. And what happens to the orb? Let's go back to the natal chart. We said that the orb in the natal chart is 12 minutes. In the 5th harmonic, it'll be 5 times bigger. 12 times 5 is 60. It'll be about a degree. And it's actually 1 degree 3 minutes. This is 28 Scorpio 53. This is 29 Pisces 56. Because this is more precise. You know, it's actually was a little bit more than 12 minutes. And it gets rounded off if you just do it to a minute. So it's 1 degree. It's 5 times bigger. Exactly what we expect. Okay, now, I think we're good so far. Let me review. The moon trine Mercury in his natal chart. Let's look at it again. He has a moon trine Mercury, very close orb. From the point of view of the 5th harmonic, it's still a trine, but now with a bigger orb. Now let's see what happens in the 7th harmonic. We don't know what's going to happen. If you're very clever with arithmetic, you can figure it out. But if you're not clever, doesn't matter. Just look at the chart, we'll see what happens. Okay, let's look at the 7th harmonic. And where is the moon and Mercury? Let's see, here's the moon, where's Mercury? It's over here. And the orb is about 1.5 degrees. So the orb is getting bigger because we're going to higher harmonics. The orb is now 7 times 12 minutes. So it's still trying. Now what will it look like in the 9th harmonic? Let's click. I've already calculated these, so I can just click on them. And here's moon and Mercury. Oh, they're conjunct. So in the 9th harmonic, a 1/3 aspect appears as a conjunction, just like it does in the 3rd harmonic, because 3/9 is the same as 1/3. What? Don't worry about the arithmetic if that bugs you. Don't worry about it. It just reduces down to a conjunction with a 2 degree orb. So in this case, it reduces to a conjunction because it'll land right on the beat. If we make a diagram of 9 beats and of 3 beats, we'll see that it lands. The 9 beats is going to land right on the 3 beats. So it ends up synchronized with it. Okay, let's see with the 11th harmonic. It goes back to being a trine. The orb is now over 2 degrees. Is that over 2? Yeah, a little over 2 degrees. Let's look at the, let's just keep going up. Let's look at the, let's go all the way up to 25th harmonic. We'll just jump up to some really high number. And here's Mercury, here's Moon, and look what happened. It's still there. The line is very thin, meaning it's now weak. If we look at it, we had the orb, which I'll talk about in a minute, is 5 degrees 20 minutes. That's the allowable orb, and I'll explain why in a minute. But that would bring us to 29.46. It's just barely within orb. This is 29 degrees 40 minutes. 29 degrees 46 minutes would be the maximum distance. Just makes it. And if I go up any higher, for example, if I go to the 29th harmonic, now the Moon, trine Mercury, is out of orb. So what happens is the orb gets bigger and bigger and bigger of that aspect until it's out of orb. Okay, this is just practice to give you an intuitive feeling for how an aspect looks in different harmonics. I hope this is becoming, if it wasn't comfortable before, I hope it's becoming comfortable to you, that you got the feeling of it. The harmonic chart will figure out for you what beat that aspect is in the context of the beat of the harmonic. It will show it to you, and the orbs are smaller for higher. There's in a higher harmonic. The orb is smaller in the natal chart, as I mentioned in the first tutorial video. The harmonic chart scales the orbs. It keeps them constant. So the orb is always 5 degrees 20 minutes in the harmonic chart, but the harmonic chart has blown everything up by the number of the harmonic. Okay, so the Moon trine Mercury is now out of orb. Okay, my phone rings. Sorry, turn it off. Okay. All right, now let's look at another example. Let's look at a different aspect, a very different aspect. Let's look at Buddy Holly's 5th harmonic chart. And I've talked about this in one of the other videos. This Mars is 11/40th Uranus. This is a 3/8 aspect known as a sesquiquadrat. If you measure the distance from Mars to Uranus, it's 135 degrees, approximately. And it tells us here there's an 11/40ths. Remember that the harmonic, or the denominator, equals the aspect. The denominator of the aspect is 3/8 times the harmonic. 8 times 5 is 40, and it says 11/40ths. Okay, and let's see what happens to this aspect as we double the harmonic. Now this is going to show you something interesting. This 11/40ths, the orb, this is 1 Pisces 08, so the orb is about 41 minutes, 16 Libra 49. It's a sesquiquadrat. A sesquiquadrat, there'll be 15 degrees different. Anyway, it's a 1 degree 41 minute orb. You can just take my word for it. That's the sesquiquadrat aspect. Oh, sorry, no. It's a 41 minute orb. 41 minute orb. 1 Pisces 08 to 16 Libra 49 is a 3/8 aspect, 135 degree aspect with a 41 minute orb. Now what will happen to this aspect when I go to the 10th harmonic? This is another important point. When you double the harmonic, very often, this didn't happen when we looked at these trines, the trine in his natal chart, but with some aspects, as we double the harmonic chart, this aspect will go in half. It like compensates for it. So when we go to the 10th harmonic, this is going to appear as a 4th harmonic. You follow that? This is an 8th, 3/8 in the 5th. I double the harmonic to go to 10, then this will go to half. this will become a square. So the 8th harmonic turns into a 4th harmonic, because what is 5 times 8? 5 times 8 is 40, and if I change this to 10, 10 times 4 is 40. So what happens is, as you double the harmonic chart, the aspect goes in half. And I'll show you that. Mars-Uranus, I predict, are going to be square in the 10th. So I double the harmonic. Here's the 10th harmonic. And there's the Mars, and there's Uranus. And they're now square. And the orb is 1 degree, 21 minutes, which is twice as big as it was in the 5th harmonic. So what happens is, let me explain this again. I'm in the 5th harmonic. I have an 8th harmonic aspect in the 5th harmonic chart. When I double this harmonic to 10, this aspect will go in half from 8 to 4, from 8th harmonic to 4th harmonic, and the orb will double. Because what we're doing is we're zooming in. Here's a good way to visualize this. I'm going from 5 to 10. It's like taking a microscope and zooming in twice as much. When you zoom in twice as much from 5 to 10, 5 times 2, I double my magnification. My orbs become twice as big, but my aspect becomes half. The reason this is so powerful is because I can see my orbs more clearly as a square. Like I was able to figure out this orb. It might have been a little bit difficult for you if you haven't been doing astrology as long as I am, to know what this orb is. So if I double the harmonic, I mean how relatively big the orb is and what it is. So I double the harmonic, go to the 10th harmonic chart, the Mars-Uranus turns to a square, and now I can just look at this is early 2 degrees, this is mid 3 degrees, so I can see it's a little over a degree orb. It's a degree 21 minutes. Now, what if I double again? If I go to 20th harmonic, this square will go down from 4 to 2. It'll turn into an opposition with the orb doubled. So instead of a 1 degree 21 minute orb, it's going to have a 2 degree 42 minute orb approximately. So I'm predicting when I double this from 10 to 20, this aspect will go down in half. So you double your magnification. The more you magnify, the aspect becomes more basic. Because at that higher magnification, this is becoming a more basic aspect. So I'll click on the 20th harmonic. Again, I'm predicting Mars-Uranus will turn into an opposition. I double the magnification, it'll become half the aspect, and the orb will be a little over 2.5 degrees. It'll be double what it is now. Okay, so I'm at 10, I'm going to click on 20, and here's the Mars at 4, we'll call it 4.5 Sag. Here's Uranus, early 7 Gemini. It is an opposition with over a 2, 432, 632, 7, slightly over a 2.5 degree orb. 2.5 degree orb would bring me to 702. Yeah, 2 degrees, 13 minute orb. So it's doubled it. Now, when I go double again, from 20 to 40, the opposition will turn into a conjunction. We're going to have about a 5 degree orb. So let's do it. I'll click on the 40th harmonic. I've already calculated these ahead of time. And it's turned into a conjunction with over a 5 degree orb, almost 5.5 degree orb. So here's why you want to know about this. Here's a simple conclusion. Is if I'm looking at the 5th harmonic chart, and I'm wondering, gee, how close is this orb? I can just multiply by 8, for example, because it's an 11/40. I can go up to the 40th harmonic, and it will turn into a conjunction. So I can say, let me look at the 40th harmonic chart. It turns into a conjunction, and now I know I have an allowable 16 degree orb. This is 5 degree orb, so it's pretty strong. It's very well within orb. So doubling the harmonic causes the aspect to become half of what it was and doubles the orb. And let's do one more example. What if I go to the 80th harmonic? Well, once you get to conjunction, you can't get any lower than conjunction, so it's just going to remain a conjunction and the orb will double. So this is a Mars-Uranus 5 degree, almost 5.5. It'll become almost an 11-degree orb when I click on 80. And here's Mars, here's Uranus, with a 10-degree, 52-minute orb. Almost 11 degrees, just like I expected. And now when I double it again, and I go to the 160th harmonic, the orb will be doubled again. It'll be almost 21 to 22 degree orb, and it's out of orb. Now they're out of orb, no red line connecting them, and they're 21 degrees apart. So that this 3/8 aspect, if I go back to his fifth harmonic chart, this 3/8 aspect has a small enough orb that it stays within orb of higher harmonics. That's what happens. That's what happens with our moon trine Mercury. Let's think about that again. When we look at this moon trine Mercury in his natal chart, because the orb is so small, only 12 minutes, it stays within orb. As I go to higher harmonics and I multiply that orb and blow it up, magnify it by whatever harmonic, it'll stay within orb to higher and higher harmonics, the smaller the orb is. So with a very small orb, it'll continue to be there for up into very, very high harmonics. But there's several reasons why you want to know this. One is you might want to just go into a greater magnification, because when you double a harmonic, you're basically keeping the tone. 5 is play, and when you double 10, 20, 40, they're like inner levels of play. When you double, it's like going up an octave. I call these octaves. So we're going into inner playfulness. And what's amazing, as we'll see, I think probably starting with the next video in this series, we're going to start looking at charts of famous people. And it's incredible that these high harmonics don't become weak. They become more internal, more like talents, more like features of their mind and their emotions rather than their personality. You can see you might say, inner playfulness, the playfulness of the mind, the creativity of the mind, the ability to come up with original ideas. For example, when you go up octaves of 5. So in this 40th harmonic chart, you might think, who cares about the 40th harmonic chart? Give me a break. We're going to go up all the way up to those harmonics. We're going to find out that amazingly, yes, that this will tell us about his capability for playfulness and creative thinking. And you'll notice he was a creative person, wrote songs and created new kind of music and so on. And we have a mystic rectangle here, trine, sextile. We have an opposition. This is almost guaranteed to happen with people who are creative thinkers and come up with new ideas and so on. It's what we expect, because the going up octaves, doubling the basic vibration, will take you to inner levels of that quality. Okay, so we're learning something about interpretation, which I'll get into more in the next video, but we're also going over how the aspect looks different under different levels of magnification. So when I go from 5 to 10 to 20 to 40, I'm increasing the magnification, and a 40th harmonic aspect appears as an 8th harmonic in the 5th harmonic chart, and then as I go up to the 10, 20, 40, it becomes lower and lower aspects until it becomes a conjunction, as we saw. So again, at the 20th harmonic, that Mars-Uranus was in opposition, and then at the 40th harmonic, because that's what it is a 40th harmonic aspect. As we said, it's 8 times 5 is 40, so in the 40th harmonic it's conjunct, becomes a conjunction. So this is good to know about, how you can magnify in, and how the aspect changes and how the orbs change. One more point. Let me go over my PowerPoint to make sure I didn't miss anything and to review what we're doing here. So we've looked at these two aspects and how they look under different harmonics. We've learned about this way of thinking in terms of beats to understand this. We saw how the moon trine Mercury went out of orb when we got above in the 29th harmonic. It was out of orb. In the 25th it was weak. It was still there. And this is, I think, my last point. Yeah, this note, the second paragraph, is that when doing harmonic charts, you have to use proportional orbs. You have to. So, in other words, if we use a 16-degree orb for conjunctions, what orb must we use for oppositions? We have to use half. We have to use 8. And what orb do we use for squares? We have to use 4, 1/4 of 16. And the trine becomes 1/3 of 16, and that's where we get the 5-degree 20-minute orb, because I've set the program to have, in this case, to have 16-degree orbs. So the only choice we have is what orb we're going to use for conjunctions. And from experience, not from theory, but from experience in doing charts, I've concluded the orb is about 16 degrees. It's actually bigger than that, but once you get beyond 16 degrees, the aspect gets so weak, you can pretty much ignore it. It's getting very, very weak. I don't think there's an abrupt point where these aspects disappear, but 16 seems to be a good cutoff point. That's generally the cutoff point that I use for most things in analyzing natal charts. For some other uses, sometimes I use smaller orbs. But for natal charts, it's about a 16-degree orb. And why must you use a proportional orb? Because when you go up these, doubling the harmonics, when I take this Mars-Uranus, and I'm looking at it in the 5th, and then I go to the 10th, and then it becomes a square, and then I go to the 20th, and it becomes an opposition, and I go to the 40th, and it turns to conjunction. By using proportional orbs for my aspects, it stays consistent. If I don't use proportional orbs, then the aspect won't be, my zoom level would change whether the aspect exists or not, which doesn't make any sense. The zoom level is just, as I said before, everything is in the natal chart. All we're doing is getting diagrams. These harmonic charts are just diagrams to see what's in the natal chart. So it means the aspect won't appear and then disappear just because I've used different orbs. So the only choice we have with orbs using harmonic theory is what orb we use for conjunctions. Okay, well, I hope that this is helping you feel really comfortable with understanding what it is you're seeing in a harmonic chart. The next video that I make on harmonic charts, I think I'm probably going to be looking at charts of famous people and applying these ideas, and it is mind-boggling. So you have all the theory, and it will become clearer as we apply this and actually use it in charts. But all of this stuff that I've done in these first 4 videos on harmonic charts may just sound like a bunch of theory and concepts and numbers, but it all becomes important when we actually go to interpret charts. Okay, which I will start doing in the next video. Okay, my friends, we have had our introduction to what harmonic chart is, how we use it to interpret, and I'm going to show you some in the next videos in this series. We're going to look at charts, apply the ideas. Well, just to give you a preview of this, we're going to look at charts of popular musicians, people that have had a big impact in popular music and rock and roll. And we are going to see in these harmonic charts not only that they're musicians and have a talent for music and the charisma to make it big, be very popular, but even the style of music, whether they are songwriters or not, whether it's a heavy rock kind of music, is incredible. We're going to use all of these rules to see in detail how the person is able to develop different talents and different styles and different qualities, how the astrology chart sets certain parameters and capabilities for the directions a person can move in. Okay, my friends, I'm excited because I'm going to start soon showing you how this stuff works with actual charts. Okay, thank you very much for listening. God bless. Namaste.